Frictional Games, the developer behind Amnesia: The Dark Descent, have brought us a new survival horror adventure called Soma, this time set deep beneath the ocean.
Well, we can start whenever you're ready.
Hello, is there anyone there?
Hey, can you hear me?
Absalom, what's going on?
Hey, look, this place is not... There's something seriously wrong here. Hello?
After the Earth's surface is destroyed by an asteroid, a group of scientists in the sub-facility Pathos 2 are struggling to stay alive. You play as Simon, who is exploring the facility and trying to piece together the scientists' plan to save humanity.
Immediately you realise something has gone very wrong down here, and that classic investigative thriller vibe sets in as you take in your surroundings.
It's quite reminiscent of BioShock, being an underwater facility, especially since it's all abandoned and run down.
This is insane!
There's mystery and history there.
Yeah, and while there is certainly a horror gameplay element to this, with enemy encounters to avoid similar to the Amnesia games, I think the Frictional devs have always been storytellers first and foremost, a trait that's even more prominent in Soma than in their previous games. You are placed in an incredibly uneasy environment and made to slowly piece together the narrative from clues, letters, and other bits of evidence left behind.
I really wish I was able to say this without the sky falling down.
I do think some may find that lack of action a bit disappointing for a game that calls itself survival horror, but it's that threat of danger that's always there, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I find underwater stuff really creepy as it is.
Not a fan of the ocean?
It's just anything submarine, you know, it evokes a sense of claustrophobia in me. And exploring this ghost town of a science facility is equal parts wondrous and unnerving.
If we are able to save even just a small piece of ourselves, why wouldn't we do that?
But that suspense is so well crafted.
It really is. The facility itself is unstable and has been abandoned for some time. And a big part of the gameplay is trying to figure out what this alien-like organism is that seems to have taken over, presenting you with some pretty gruesome scenes.
Hey, are you...
Don't hurt me.
Can I help?
It won't let me die.
Most of the puzzle solving you do is finding the right access code to log into systems, and diverting what limited power there is left to gain access to new areas. That sort of thing.
I like the way you navigate the facility too. The internal environments are really interesting, dark and creepy, but you'll also travel in trains, escape pods and zeppelins. Whatever you can manage to get working.
I loved also that there were parts of the game that you'd spend out in open water. And that was something that I always found was a bit disappointing that the original BioShock games lacked. Here you feel vulnerable in a whole new way when you're just wandering around the ocean floor. And this is a beautiful looking game too, isn't it?
It is. The lighting is moody, all the environments have wonderful detail. There's always something magical to look at. And it all runs smoothly too.
Yeah, I was impressed. They managed to make relatively small areas feel vast and expansive, which is clever design, I think.
Did find myself getting a little bit lost in the labyrinth of tunnels, or even in the open ocean sections. Part of the puzzle of this game, I think, is simply finding your way. But I found it just hit that perfect sweet spot of just when I was starting to get frustrated and going around in circles, I stumble across a ladder or a door.
Plus, it's through that exploration that you uncover more of those juicy pieces of story that slowly begin to answer all the questions you have about what happened here.
You saw that, right? You saw Akers injecting that shit into them?
He got me pretty bad.
Bajo, I thought the story was incredible.
I loved it too. We won't reveal too much, but it explores ideas and themes of artificial intelligence and human consciousness, and what it is that makes us truly human.
It's fascinating, isn't it? It's intriguing and at times quite sad. I mean, I loved Amnesia, but I found the narrative here so much more compelling.
Yeah, it's quite existential without being overly complex. It makes you question the very nature of your own existence, which is a pretty great achievement for a video game.
Yeah, absolutely. Plus, you know, I love a game that lets me rifle through people's stuff. And it's so worth looking through every personal belonging you come across, reading every email and checking all the log entries.
It really makes you think about what it means to be human.
Because it really does reveal so much of the larger picture.
Yes, and this is something we're used to doing in narrative games, but the atmosphere in Soma is always so tense and frightening. It just adds that extra layer of urgency to your investigations.
Yeah, plus it's in these moments that you'll often be faced with enemies.
Careful! I think it's back.
Like Frictional's other games, there's no combat mechanic. you can only run or hide. Monsters generally defeat you if you let them get too close. Or, like Slender Man, if you look at them for too long.
Being so vulnerable and with no way to defend yourself, it makes for some pretty terrifying encounters. The enemies in these games are always some kind of twisted, deformed beasts that lurk in the darkness. Really creepy stuff.
Oh man, the sounds alone are terrifying. Hearing their footsteps coming down the hall, let alone when they rush at you.
You do have help on your journey.
Hi, Simon. I'm Catherine. Have you figured out what's going on yet?
A scientist named Catherine, who guides you through the various substations and explains much of what the scientists were working on.
It was just a pet project at first, but it got really serious after the comet took out the surface. Then suddenly it became very important, and it was officially named the Ark.
And that's another common device of this style of game, having that radio voice, but I get why it works.
Yeah, there's only so many bits of paper you can read. Having that interaction is much more involving.
Thanks, Simon. Don't be mad, okay? We really needed that chip.
Plus, it staves off the loneliness, doesn't it? Having that voice with you, both for you and the character.
Yeah, definitely. It's someone to forge a connection with. How did you find this all up?
Well, I do enjoy narrative games, but when it comes to survival horror, I am craving a bit more action to raise the stakes. Just a few more encounters would have been nice. Still, I think this is some of Frictional's best work. I'm giving it 3.5 out of 5 stars.
Well, this had me hook, line, and sinker. I mean, I think they balanced the action well, but really it is that story that drives it. I just love being kept in that state of unease and tension, yet with this unrelenting curiosity and desire to find out more. I absolutely recommend Soma. I'm giving it 4.5 out of 5 stars.